I was at Value Village when I came across this solid cherry mid-century modern chest of drawers. It was in rough shape, the top was warped, and it looked like it had bent through it. But for $12, I knew it needed to come home with me. Underneath all this grime and failing finish were some seriously cool details. So today, I'm giving it a full refresh, sanding it down, bringing out that beautiful wood grain, updating the hardware, and giving it a more modern, clean finish. Let's see what $12 and some elbow grease can really do. Let's load it up and get it home. Once we got it home, the first thing we did was remove the old sticker, and then it was time to deal with this warped top. This piece has some really unique dovetail joints holding this solid wood together, but with solid wood, warping is just part of the territory. And judging by the water stains and sun damage, it looks like this piece spent a good chunk of its life as a plant stand, which definitely didn't help. So first things first, we're going to fix the top. We removed the top drawer so it would be easier to do this repair, and then we took some Titebond wood glue and squeezed as much as we could into the cracks. Then we broke a popsicle stick and shoved the glue in as far as we could get it to go before cleaning up some of the mess and clamping it down. We repeated these steps in any areas that we saw separation. Next, it was time to prep this piece for sanding. I took some Zep degreaser and sprayed this entire piece before wiping it down with a paper towel. Cleaning your piece before sanding is super important. Dust, grease, and old wax can clog up your sandpaper really fast, which makes your sanding uneven and way less effective. Even worse, if you skip cleaning, you risk grinding all that grime right into the wood grain, and that can seriously mess with your final finish. Now that it's all prepped, it's time to get into sanding. I started with 120 grit on my orbital sander. It's the perfect balance to cut through the old finish without damaging the wood. There's something super satisfying about watching that natural wood start to peek through all the grime and gunk. I used my DeWalt detail sander to get into some of the harder to reach corners. I used my foam sanding pad attachment on my orbital sander to effectively sand the tapered legs without getting any flat spots. There were some gaps in the dovetail joints where we previously made repairs, so using a hack I saw online, I squirted some wood glue on the gap, sprinkled in some sanding dust that I had collected, and sanded over the wood glue to create the perfect wood-toned wood filler for this project. I'm really pleased with the result. Let me know if you try this out. This chest of drawers is solid cherry, which is naturally really red as you can see here. So I decided to mix up a paint wash to try to tone down some of the red and give this piece a more natural looking finish. I started applying the paint wash, wiping each section down with a damp cloth before applying to ensure that I got an even application. Then I simply brushed on and wiped off in the direction of the wood grain. Just from that one application, you can already see that the wood has a much more muted and pleasant tone. After I was done with the drawers, it was time to do the body. Then I cleaned up the insides of the drawers with a little sanding and some wood conditioner. Once the paint wash was dry, I decided I wanted the finish to be a little darker, so I grabbed a water-based stain I had lying around, mixed it with a little water, and began applying. I brushed it on in the direction of the wood grain and wiped it off before it could dry. Pretty much the same process as paint washing. I was super happy with the final result, so all that was left to do was to start spraying on top coat. I mixed a tiny bit of the stain I used with my polyacrylic top coat to give it a more even, polished finish. In between coats, once it had time to dry, I took a brown paper bag and gave the whole piece a gentle wipe down. The brown paper bag acts like a very high grit sandpaper and gives your piece a buttery smooth finish every time. I gave the piece one final coat of top coat and then wiped it down again with the brown paper bag. I added on new updated hardware that I picked out from Lowe's. And lastly, I brushed on some of the same top coat mixture onto the tops and the sides of the drawers that were missed while spraying. Finally, here's a reminder of what this piece looked like when I found it at the thrift store. Faded finish, water damaged, warped, and just plain boring. And here's what it looks like now. Totally refreshed, beautiful, and ready for many more years of life. I listed it for $700 and ended up accepting an offer of $600 because I needed it out of my garage. What do you think of this flip? What kind of finish would you have liked to see on this piece? Let me know down below and subscribe for more furniture flipping videos and tips. Bye!